As we all know, your agency is responsible for submitting an accurate report to Congress of small business goals. Yet the committee found approximately 250 miscoded contracts in FPDS. This is the Federal Procurement Data System, for Katrina-related actions, and most are still in the data. Since you have stated that cleaning up this problem is a priority, can you provide the committee with a timeline for when these errors will be corrected?
Yes. As you know, this has been a big issue for you. This has been something we've publicly talked about a lot. Last year, I sent a letter to all the agency heads, along with people in the White House, asking for clean data, not only going forward, but to restate 05 and ensure 06 was correct. We also, we've worked with the agencies very extensively to get to a much cleaner output when we look at that data. Paul Dennett from OFPP has also asked all the federal agencies to represent to the White House the validation and verification procedures they will have, having third parties do that. People are responsible back to him for that. We will be making a re-submission of the 05 data available within the next few weeks. That is the result of many months of work with the federal agencies. We think it's a much higher quality product. I will tell you, 3.5 million small business actions a year, it won't be perfect. The other thing we're doing is we're working with Lorita's people at the GSA to make that data, every one of those lines of data, publicly available in an easier, more user-friendly format. So I think we're working with people a lot in the process. We have a lot of support broadly within the administration. I think the agencies have worked very hard on this, but it is a very extensive project, I think, that will continue forward for a while before I think we really get it right.
When do you think this will be ready?
We will have 05 and cleaned up 05 and 06 data available this month.
Mr. Schneider, I asked the Department of Homeland Security to identify 5 new prime contracts after our April hearing in New Orleans. And in your response, you included 2 that were posted prior to the hearing in April. So since I requested for each one of the agencies to identify 5 new contracts, I will ask you that you identify 2 new contracts, 2 new prime contracts, and explain to me first why, when I asked for 5 prime new contracting opportunities, you included 2 that were old.
I wasn't aware at the time that the 2 were old. I worked, I think it was the 7 total, which were, I think, 2 over and above, I think, the 5 you asked for.
Well, I want to...
I'll go back and find out why, and we will take a look to see if there's any other additional contracts, but, I don't know why the 2, but we did provide 5.
Well, in the information, I will ask that in the next 2 weeks you provide information with the 5 new contracts going forward after the April hearing. My understanding is that 2 of the contracts were listed twice, so that's why you come up with the 7 contracts. So we need accurate information, and I please ask you that you submit it to the committee in the next 2 weeks. Mr. Van Antwerp, in your testimony, you mentioned that your debris removal contracts will be more small business friendly. You mentioned 8A and Hub Zone set-aside, but not only one mechanism to ensure local firms are included. So my question is, why is it that you're not using set-aside for local small business participation?
Ma'am, I'm not sure exactly how we can code local small business. We're trying to come to grips with this as we look at how we code them. But we have small business, but we will go after that local small business set aside.
if your
My
staff
commitment.
has problems in identifying or the definition, I will suggest that you get the assistance of the Small Business Administration.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Henke, at the hearing in April, Admiral Dunn, who represented your agency at the time, testified that the agency's policy for the Veterans Medical Center was to have large prime contractors and involve small businesses only at the subcontractor level. And he, in our exchange, basically made a statement that he thought, based on experience but not on data, that there will be no small businesses, local small businesses, that could do the job that was required. So in the contracts that you are submitting to the committee, there were prime small business contract for the VA Medical Center, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I guess that Mr. Dunn was wrong in his statement, because when he came in April, he said there's no way that we could identify or set aside 5 contracts, prime contract for small businesses, yet you're submitting prime contracts for small businesses to our committee. So what happened between then and now?
Ma'am, I'm not exactly sure what Admiral Dunn said before the committee. Perhaps the discussion was about the construction effort that VA must undertake in New Orleans. But I know that when the Admiral responded, when VA responded in the letter, we did provide the 5, and we're executing 2 of them this month and 3 of them next month. We expect to award all 5 here in the next month or 2.
You are expecting to?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
2 in August and 3 in September is the expected award date for these 5 efforts.
Mr. Finley, at 4:30 p.m. yesterday, DOD finally provided 5 contracts in response to the committee's request. These were all contracts that had already been awarded. The purpose of my request after the April hearing was for the agency to show what they plan to do going forward. What DOD did instead was wait until the last minute and then simply go back and pull from the contracts that they had already let. And I have to tell you that this demonstrates a lack of goodwill on the part of the department. And then to wait 4 months for you to comply with the committee's request and not providing any new prime contract, that's unbelievable. 4 months. Sir, I thought that military time was more prompt than 4 months. Do you have anything to say?
Yes, Madam Chair. First of all, I apologize for the very late response. The letter that you sent to us, unfortunately, did not reach our office in a we might consider a normal fashion. Everything gets checked for chemical, biological things that came in through our normal mail, and it
2 months. Excuse me. What do you mean by it didn't reach your office
it
in a
didn't reach
timely
my
manner?
office, Madam Chair, in a what I would consider more of a timely fashion. I'm not using that as an excuse, Madam. I'm just using it as an example of what kind of slowed our system down.
Well, sir, you have to check your system. This is the military, huh? We send it electronically too.
I'll double check on that as well, ma'am. To the point of the contracts themselves, Madam Chair, I'm not aware that these were already awarded prior to 4/12. My information was that these were awarded post 4/12, and I will take that question for the record, and we will get back to you on the facts of those programs. And if we cannot find that those are the proper timed programs, we'll certainly work to identify in the next 2 weeks 5 contracts that do fit post 4/12 awards.
Those contracts were awarded